Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm not with my cat Leia. This is my parents' cat Ruby, who probably won't stay with me for too long, but I am at their house for this weekend, so I thought for my obligatory cat showing I'd show her just briefly. And I thought I'd do a really quick weekend update for my reads, just to show you what I've been up to and hopefully get this uploaded before the new week starts. After my review of The Chalk Artist by Allegra Goodman, which I angsted about on my last update video, and then also on my Goodreads review that I wrote after I finished it, I've been reading The Wife by Meg Wolitzer, which I also talked about last week. I am one chapter away from completion. I am really loving this book. I know a lot of it has to do with the fact that I love Wolitzer for a lot of the same reason that I love Goodman. I think that they write about social relationships in a way that I can really get behind, showing their complications and nuance and also a little bit of subtle humor about them. And this one has to do with a husband-wife team where both of them were literary, but the husband is the one who succeeds in the literary field, and it gives you a look into the sort of liberal New York middle class social and sexual and literary community of the 50s up until the thousands. So the community that was relatively young in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and relatively older up until the thousands, where as an older man he's receiving this prestigious award, and she's thinking about leaving him. Like some other reviewers, I think the ending, which I'm now starting to get into, is turning me off just a little bit, but overall I found it to be a really powerful read and a really nice palate cleanser after the disappointment of The Chalk Artist. I've also been keeping up with my buddy read of With Curtis from Curtis Books and Films. We are reading Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. We have finished book 2 this week, and the plot thickens. The awkward love shapes continue to contort. Curtis was talking in an email with me recently about how dreary the setting is, and thoughts about what Hardy might be saying about Victorian marriage in them. I'm looking forward to his next video and his next communication on these issues. I also picked up on how dark the novel is, like because it's around Christmas time, so it's a dark, cold time of the year, and a time period that's very different from my own, where you know, there's no electricity or digital entertainment. One of the big set pieces of book 2 is a Christmas party where neighbors can get together, and a new character, Clem, comes home, and one of the main female leads, Eustacia, devises a way to get invited to the party because she thinks Clem will lift her out of the doldrums of her boring life. And I gotta say that Eustacia is a lot more fun to follow than the other female lead, Thomasin, who is a good girl, an upstanding girl, but mostly lets other people jerk her around a bit. You feel bad for her, but Eustacia is someone who, for all of her selfish indulgences, takes matters into her own hands and is very proactive, and we get to see a very different side of life just by what she chooses to do. But my copy of the book also comes with illustrations, so I shared one last week. I thought I'd share one this week. This is an illustration of Thomasin, and underneath it does say one of her quotes, "I wish all good women were as good as I," which seems to sum up the character's thoughts on her personality quite nicely. Anyway, the book 2 ends with a marriage, which definitely puts the drama into some sort of stark new direction, and I'm looking forward to getting into book 3 next week. The next book I'm hoping to begin very, very soon is A Horse Walks into a Bar by Grossman. I do kind of wish I had already started this, but alas, I have not, but I will be starting it very soon. This was the Man Booker International winner this year. It was translated into English by Jessica Cohen. So obviously it's gotten some great reviews, but some booktubers have given it less than stellar reviews. And I, meanwhile, am reading it primarily, I guess, for my book club. And we were going to read it for August, but so many of us were on the holds list because it's so popular now that we pushed it back to September. And I'm kind of surprised that I got it so early from the library, but I definitely am going to push through and read it before I have to give it back. I also want to read it for myself because I like to keep tabs of Jewish fiction published per year. So out of all of the Jewish fiction published in English in 2017, this one obviously will be important because of the award and because David Grossman is generally a pretty important popular writer in Israel. And this book is chronicling, I believe, the night in the life of a stand-up comic. It's very different in tone from the other book of his that I've read this year, which is To the End of the Land, which I am still counting as my favorite read so far of this year. But I'm not sure if that means I will love this book as much because, again, it is very different. But, or at least it sounds very different. I guess I can't say that for sure yet. But To the End of the Land is a book that is about a mother who, when she's sure her son will be killed in a combat situation, goes to the edge of Israel into the Galilee with her old lover and longtime friend and relationship haver, and they hash over their lives together and everything that they've gone through. It's just gutting and emotional and just wonderfully drawn out for character development and magical realist stream of consciousness thinking. I just found it very, very moving, and I hope I find something at least somewhat comparable in this as well. Here's to hoping. And finally, I forgot to bring a copy with me to my parents' house, although I wasn't going to start reading it soon anyway. It's my next Meg Wolitzer pick, which is Surrender, Dorothy. I've been doing a project slowly of a Wolitzer backlist reading thing, where last summer I did a booktube review of her 3 novels that she published most recently before The Interestings, well, other than her YA novel, but her 3 adult novels anyway. So I'll link to that down below. And now, this August, I'm hoping to read and review for 3 other of her novels. Surrender, Dorothy is the one that she published before The Wife, just before The Wife. And I'm very intrigued by it because I actually had or am grappling with a story idea that's somewhat similar to it, I believe, because Surrender, Dorothy is about a woman who dies, and then about the people in her life and how they perceive her, and perceive her memory, and perceive her identity, and how that shifts from person to person. And so that's something I'm also grappling with for a project that I may or may not do, and it's just something that I find somewhat fascinating about how identity is so malleable like that in the eyes of other people. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to it soon. It should be, I think, a little over 200 pages. I'm hoping to get through it quickly, just like I was hoping to get through The Wife quickly. I didn't get through The Wife as quickly as I would have hoped, but next week I'm thinking will be a little less busy than this week, so maybe I can keep my act together a little better for next week. Stay tuned. So that about covers it for me now. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts about these books or any of the books you've been reading this week. Realizing that this lighting might not be the best. I have this light on the end table shining right into me. I think I look more orange than usual, although my lighting situation is never really absolutely tip-top, so who knows, maybe no one else noticed it other than me, or didn't notice it any more than anything usual on my channel. But I guess I'll leave it at that. It's getting pretty late. I should get to bed, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.